Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are looking at budget modal card draw spells under $2. So this one's pretty good. Oh, my thing isn't doing the thingy thing. Anyway, so what are we talking about? Again, these are under $2, and this video will cover the $2 or less options. The next video will be cover under 25-cent options, which are a lot better than you might expect. So yeah, this video, I'm going to talk about the $2 or less, and the next one I'm going to do next week is like 25 cents or less, which have a lot of options that I think are really quite a bit better than you might think for the price. What is a modal spell? Again, modal spells are spells that allow you to choose between options available. Usually there's either a higher mana cost or like the options aren't as good as just like regular spells. I think there are a lot of exceptions though, and a lot of these are like give you a lot of value for what you're putting in. Having modal ways to draw cards is great when you need it, but options is always better, right? You don't always need card draw. Hopefully your deck isn't always hurting for card draw. If it is, this might not be what you need to look at. You probably need to take a step back and like redesign from farther back. If you think you're gonna throw in like 2 or 3 cards with modal card draw and it's gonna fix card draw options or problems, it probably won't. You probably need to go back to formula. Honorable mentions. Okay, Arcane Endeavor. This involves rolling. I think that's why it's so low on like people's priority. People don't like rolling. Use it in a deck where you're already rolling. Okay, so I did the Faraday, Devil's Chosen, and that's all about rolling, and there's all kinds of things that can give you extra rolls or allow you to re-roll, and when you have these in combination with this, it's super powerful. Okay, the other downside besides rolling is the casting cost, so the CMC is 5 blue, so 7 to cast it. It's not messing around. Roll 2d8 and choose one result. Draw cards equal to that result, then you may cast an instant or sorcery with mana value less than or equal to the result of the second die from your hand without paying its mana cost. So this is going to be card draw on one die, and you choose which one, right? There's the modal part, is that you're choosing which die to use for which thing. Especially if you have extra rolls, then that gets pretty crazy pretty quick. 7 casting cost is a lot, but if you're getting even like what the average would be 4.5 cards drawn, and then you're going to be able to cast a spell for like 4 or 5 mana, that's already like, assuming it's 4 even, right? 4 cards drawn and a spell that costs like 4 mana or less, cast for free, that's like 3 mana for 4 card draw. This is really good. It's just the added randomness, I think, that makes it unpopular. Anyway, 23 cents. Library of Latinam. This is a weird one. Anyway, 4 and a blue, so 5 for this one. Target opponent chooses one. I do like forcing your opponent to make the choice. That just seems extra funny. Get into kind of a political thing with that as well. So, you draw 3 cards at the beginning of next turn's upkeep. I do like especially the draw cards at the beginning of next upkeep. Any kind of like discard effects, things like that. It just protects your card draw from a lot of things that can mess with it on other people's turns. It basically takes other people's turns out of it, right? That is an underrated benefit. And okay, so again, the draw 3, or search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. So, or you get to tutor out whatever you want. So your opponent's like, especially if you have a deck where it's like if you draw a card, they take damage and they're low on life, that might actually, they might go for the tutor instead. Anyway, 39 cents. Again, mostly you're in that one for the card draw, right? If you can get something to reduce the mana cost a bit, then I think it becomes very worthwhile very quickly. Anyway, truth or consequences. So 2 is it? and this is our background art. Secret Council. I do like the secret votes because everyone's not gonna like, you know, base their decision over the on the last decision. They have to like make the choice and then everyone reveals and it's like, oh no, everyone chose the same thing, now it's trouble. Anyway, alright. Each player secretly votes for truth or consequences. Then those votes are revealed. You may draw cards equal to the number of truth votes. So again, this could be in a game of Commander or a multiplayer game. This could be multiple cards drawn for 4 mana or consequences. Then choose an opponent at random. Truth or consequences deals 3 damage to that player for each consequence vote. So if they go consequences and don't let you draw cards, someone else is going to be taking damage, right? You get to vote too. So if you want card draw, you could say, yeah, truth and get a card, or you can say consequences and just do damage. It is randomly assigned damage, but once again, in a multiplayer game, like Commander is where I'd use this. That's going to be, if you choose consequences and then everyone else does, that's 12 damage to an opponent at random. 12 is getting to be a lot, especially for 4 mana. That's what, 4 lightning bolts worth of damage? Yeah, it has the same, anyway, the same exchange rate. 15 cents. Number 5. Drowning Dreams. Okay, so this is an X2 and a blue. With all of these spells where they have an X cost and a regular cost, it's high CMC definitely, but you gotta plan for that, right? This is like a mid to late game card is where it really shines. Never cast this for like 4 mana. Like X being 1, it's just not worth doing. Okay, so choose one. If you control your commander as you cast the spell, you may choose both. So if you're in Commander and your commander's out, or if you're playing Commander and your commander's out, you're getting both of these effects. That's where it gets to be actually really good. Anyway, okay, target player draws X cards. So you can draw however many cards you can pay for. Target player mills twice X cards. So you're going to mill twice as many as you draw. Or I suppose you could let someone else draw if you're being really nice. But yeah, oh boy. So even if you did like, let's say 7, right? You draw 4, they mill 8. For 7 mana, you're going to be drawing 4 and milling your opponent for 8. That's not a bad deal, is all I can say about that. Even 7 mana for 4 cards, that's not fantastic, but it's really not bad. The milling on top of it is really just the higher the higher the X value you put into these, the more worthwhile it is, right? You want the X value to kind of outweigh the kind of standard value, I think, is one way of looking at it. So if you can cast this for 8 or more, that's where it really gets like out of hand. If you're drawing 5 cards and then milling someone else for 10, that adds up quick. Anyway, 38 cents. Number 4, Dread Presence. Okay, this is 3 and a black, so the casting cost is at least reasonable for a 3/3. A 3/3 for 4. Okay, it's okay. Whenever a swamp enters the battlefield under your control, choose one. Right. So every time, it's basically a landfall trigger that is like a modal landfall trigger. Oh, you draw a card and lose 1 life. So there's one option. It does cost you a life, which at times maybe might not be a good thing. In general though, 1 card is worth 1 life for sure. Dread Presence deals 2 damage to any target and you gain 2 life. So anything they have that's like can only take or has toughness 2 or less, it's just a removal. You've created like landfall removal. Oh my gosh. And worst case scenario, right? There are no decent creatures to target. You just hit the player directly with it, right? That's not much of a downside. Anyway, 187. Yeah, I think this should be a mono black staple. Anyway. Number 3. Charming Scoundrel. Okay. One and a red for a 1/1 with haste. Not great to start with, but we'll see. When Charming Scoundrel enters the battlefield, choose one, discard a card, then draw a card. So yeah, the rummaging thing that red likes to do, it's not ideal card draw. It's kind of arguably not card draw because you're always like at the same number of cards as you use this. It's sorting, not drawing. But anyway. Or create a treasure token or create a wicked roll token attached to target creature you control. I'm trying to remember. I'm very bad at remembering. For anyone who watches these videos knows I'm terrible at remembering things. I believe a wicked roll token though, it gives the creature +1/+1, and when the token goes to the graveyard, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. I believe that's how that works. You can also get a lot of extra value just from having like enchanted creatures. You can get a lot of extra bonuses out of that in many decks. Anyway, 58 cents. This is great in a flicker. If you have a deck that flickers a lot and uses red, you just keep picking up, putting it down, and just create a whole bunch of treasure. Or, discard, draw. We're really kind of... Every deck, the main 2 things are mana ramp, card draw. This can do both, right? If you can flicker this can fix whatever problem you have, or just like give you a bonus. And you can put on a whole bunch of your creatures so that if there's a board wipe or something, they're just draining themselves a lot with the board wipe. It's a disincentive for board wipes that. Anyway, yeah, 58 cents, I think I already said. Number 2. Spear of Leonidas? Leonidas? Leonidas. Okay, whatever. Anyway, for 2 and a red, it is equipped 2, so the equip cost is not bad. But it doesn't give any direct like combat damage bonuses, which is kind of odd for equipment, but it does kind of better, I think. So whenever equipped creature attacks, choose 1. It gains double strike until end of turn. I should have used this on my Faraday deck. Create Phobos, legendary 3/2 red horse creature token. Okay, so you can make a legendary token. Not a lot of things to make legendary tokens, because remember, the legendary rule means you can have 1 only. So you can only make 1 of these at a time, or if you make a second one of them has to be destroyed immediately. So it kind of doesn't do anything once there's 1 out. And finally, discard 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. Alright. Discard 2, draw 2 is getting steep, but it's still, like, the sorting it can do is amazing. Alright, so 94 cents. Please hit like and subscribe. It makes such a big difference. It really does. Alright, number 1. Intellectual Offering. 5 and a blue, so the casting cost is not cheap. That's the first thing. Secondly, this is kinda modal. Not really. It's more a political modal. I don't know if that's a thing, but it should be. So the modal part is that you're choosing another opponent for this effect, okay? So yeah, that's not really modal, I guess, but I still love this card. So choose an opponent. You and that player each draw 3 cards. Remember, this is on 2 separate paragraphs on the card. That means they trigger separately. So you do not have to choose one opponent to get both of these effects. So you can choose 2 different opponents to get each effect, which can be, once again, as a political tool, this is crazy, crazy good. If someone's getting attacked and they're about to get taken out of the game because they're all tapped down, you can be like, hey, I can help you out, but, you know, leave me alone or something. And then you can really kind of flip the script on the whole game with this card. Alright, so choose an opponent. You and that opponent each draw 3 cards. Choose an opponent. Untap all non-land permanents you control and all non-land permanents for that player controls. Non-land permanents does include mana rocks, right? So you want a deck where you've got a good amount of mana rocks, where you're going to be untapping and freeing up a whole bunch of resources that you can use on other people's turns. in like a spell slinging deck, this is crazy. Anyway, 190. The list. Drown in Dreams is 38 cents. Dread Presence is $1.87. Charming Scoundrel is 58. Spear of Leonidas is 94. Intellectual Offering is 190. I'm now thinking I should put Intellectual Offering as like the number 5, just because it's not really a modal spell, but you guys will forgive me, I'm sure. Anyway, take it easy.